Salmon is among the most popular seafoods in the U.S. and other industrial countries. And nothing compares with fresh, ocean-caught California king salmon. From the beginning to the table, a chain of hard-working fishermen, buyers, processors, and distributors meet the growing consumer demand for quality, consistency, and good taste. Delivering high-quality troll-caught salmon requires skill, determination, and a collective effort from each link in that chain. Let's start with the first link in the chain, where the fish meets man. It is the fisherman's first contact, how he handles and cares for each salmon, that begins the process that determines end quality and customer satisfaction with the product. And for that industrious angler, that means pride and profits. Pride in having done a job that he knows best, and profits when the California king outshines the competitors. Marketing troll-caught salmon begins on the boat, and it's there where we first rely on the talents of the fishermen to take proper care in landing, dressing, and storing the fish. If quality suffers here, it cannot be regained. Equally important is the dockside handling, because all the care taken at sea can be lost just as easily if not properly treated from the boat to the cook. This video is designed to review the fundamentals involved with the proper handling and care of salmon. Whether it's on the boat, at the dockside, or in the kitchen or restaurant, there are three major players in the quality game. Proper handling to avoid damaging the fish, refrigeration to keep the original quality of the product and increase shelf life, sanitation to further guard against contamination and spoilage. When salmon have been captured, if possible, stun the live fish in the water. Gaff in the head only. A puncture in the flesh will ruin the fish for market. Nets are not recommended because this can cause excessive scale loss. Also, providing a smooth landing surface that's wet and slick helps retain the scales. Certain methods of moving the catch may mark the skin. Pews, forks, picks, hooks, or pumps which damage the fish should not be used. Try to keep the fish from damaging itself when it comes on board if it can't be stunned in the water. And of course, never throw, kick, or step on a fish. As soon as the salmon are brought on board, the fish should be bled and eviscerated. Severing one or two gill arches will allow the heart to pump out most of the blood. The next procedure is to dress the fish after bleeding. Always gut the fish as quickly and carefully as possible to avoid decomposition of the belly wall due to digestive enzymes present in the gut that may result in belly burn. Belly burn softens the belly walls and causes an objectionable red-brown discoloration of the belly cavity, resulting in a sour odor and bitter flavor. As we all know, the sharper the knife, the better. To open the belly, insert the knife at the vent at an angle almost flush with the belly. Maintaining this angle, make a smooth, shallow cut along the center line to the base of the pectoral fins. Cut up to 1.5 inches behind the V of the neck. To avoid injury, always cut away from yourself. A shallow cut at the correct angle prevents slashing of the belly wall and puncturing of the viscera. If the viscera is punctured, spoiling agents are released onto the flesh. By severing the organs which extend to the head and the connecting tissue on either side, the viscera may be removed intact. The viscera is grasped firmly, pulled up, and then pulled toward the tail of the fish and discarded. Next, the kidney is carefully slit open with the tip of the knife and then scraped out with a spoon. Be careful not to cut into the flesh along the backbone, particularly toward the tail, because this area of flesh is soft and very susceptible to bacterial spoilage. Using a knife, crack the last 3 vertebrae in the tail portion and remove the pocket of blood. A spoon is used, as shown, to remove the blood in the veins near the belly cavity. Now you can completely remove the gill arches because this is an area where bacteria and spoilage enzymes are concentrated. By removing the gill arches properly, the throat remains firmly attached to the lower jaw. The attached throat will prevent the head from breaking off during later handling. Once the evisceration procedures have been completed, thoroughly wash the fish with clean running water to eliminate all traces of slime, blood, and attached shreds of viscera that would greatly add to the potential for spoilage. Fish must be protected from heat, sunlight, and air drying if they can't be chilled in the hold immediately. Any time on deck unchilled and unprotected invites spoilage and drastically reduces shelf life. It's a good idea to wait about 20 minutes after visceration to allow residual blood to seep out, then wash them once again before chilling. Do not freeze or attempt to straighten fish that are in rigor mortis, as this will tear the flesh. The fish will straighten when rigor mortis releases. Delayed chilling, improper bleeding, and improper dressing result in a shorter shelf life and spoilage. Spoilage begins when bacteria invade the tissues, causing a breakdown in the composition. The fish's own enzymes then digest its flesh. Proper icing or refrigeration slows these breakdowns and directly enhances the shelf life and the quality of the fish. To maintain the integrity of shelf life, the salmon must be chilled as soon as possible. Even a few hours at temperatures above 32 degrees can lower fish quality. Ice has the unique characteristic of removing large amounts of heat as it melts without changing its temperature of 32 degrees. Acting as a heat mop, the slow-melting ice surrounds and runs cold water over the fish. This method reduces the temperature of the fish quite rapidly, although not as rapidly as liquid chilling systems. Liquid chilling systems use water chilled by refrigeration to store fish. Although these systems are popular because less work is required to chill the catch, be aware they do not increase total shelf life. Generally, liquid chilling systems use a combination of 1/3 seawater and 2/3 fresh water. Using 100% seawater is not recommended due to significant salt intake and shrinkage of the fish. Care should always be taken to prevent freezing the fish. Fish begin freezing between 27 and 29 degrees. For storage, the ideal temperature is between 30 and 32 degrees, with a minimum of temperature fluctuation. Partial freezing and thawing can cause cells to burst and bacteria to infiltrate. The internal temperature of iced fish, or the temperature of the hold using a liquid chilling system, should be monitored periodically to identify any possible problems. Overcrowding the fish in liquid containers or improper layering of iced fish can be very damaging when on the boat and on dockside. Whenever possible, grasp the fish by the tail and the head gills, not just the tail alone. Here we see the fish being properly layered for icing head to tail. With each layer, it's important to fill the intestinal cavity with ice to make sure proper cooling occurs where the most spoilage can occur. Important requirements for the fish on board the vessel are: try to bring them aboard with the least possibility of damage. Careless handling produces bruising, which leads to discoloration and damage to the flesh. The fish should not be dropped into the hold or on hard surfaces such as the deck, and any surface the fish comes in contact with should be soft and wet, including the cleaning trough. This keeps the fish moist and prevents excessive scale loss, which damages their appearance and shelf life. Some scale loss is inevitable, but obviously the less the better. A good-looking fish attracts good-paying customers. Chill the fish rapidly as soon as they are caught and keep them chilled. Once the fish are dressed, they must be held separately from the fish that are to be bled and eviscerated to prevent contamination of the clean fish. Proper sanitation is very important to minimize physical damage and deterioration of the fish and to prevent contamination. Recommended procedures for an effective cleaning and sanitizing program are as follows. Scrub all fish contact surfaces with a brush or a high-pressure washing system using a detergent solution. Most common household detergents are mixtures of alkaline phosphates and a wetting agent and are suitable for use on a fishing vessel to remove fish slime. Follow label directions. Rinse with cold fresh water or seawater. Under no circumstances should sanitizers containing phenols such as Lysol or Pine Sol be used in the fish hold or on fish handling surfaces. Most phenols are insoluble in water and impart a strong odor which may affect fish taste. Clean up at the end of the day. After unloading, don't forget to scrub out the hold. Also, if trips are lengthy and fish are left laying on the deck for long periods, refrigeration systems can be contaminated by unwholesome fish. This is especially true if the fish are not dressed. The potential for deterioration or damage begins the moment the fish are harvested, and delivery from the boat should be made on or before the 5th day, with no more than 4 days at sea. You've worked hard to keep the fish in prime condition this far. So at this next link in the chain at the dockside, everyone must continue to keep the fish in prime condition for delivery to the market. Unloading the fish should be accomplished with as little delay as possible, while taking care to avoid damaging the fish. Mechanical unloading equipment should be designed and operated so as to avoid physical damage to the fish. Fish cannot be allowed to drop excessive distances at any stage in the delivery system. Always handle the fish carefully, like hard-earned prizes that they are, until they reach the consumer. Handle them with the support at both head and tail, and always be mindful of the possibility of damage due to scale loss when they contact any surface, including other fish. After sizing and grading, layer the fish in ice, alternating the heads and tails. Then make sure the belly cavity is well iced too before beginning the next layer. Temperature fluctuations can increase dehydration as well as tissue damage. Once fish have been iced or frozen, don't allow them to change temperature. It's important to remember that even if the exterior of the fish looks good, if the fish has been mishandled, interior flesh damage can occur. Bruised, crushed, and mishandled fish indicate decomposition or contamination and cannot be considered a high-quality consumer product. Fish in these conditions should be returned to the fishermen and not allowed to enter the market. As always, sanitation is important. Equipment used in the transport and sorting should be cleaned and sanitized at least once a day or after each boat's delivery. Cutting boards or sliming tables and utensils which come in contact with fish should be cleaned as frequently as necessary to prevent contamination of the fish. This may be difficult, but it's all part of the effort on everyone's part to ensure the very best quality delivery of fish to the marketplace. According to the quality evaluation criteria, all salmon, while fresh, should exhibit the following characteristics prior to processing in order to receive a premium grade. There is no blood in the veins or on the neck. Scale loss is minimal or undetectable to the customer. The body shape is natural and well-rounded, and the eyes are bright and clear. The fins are intact. The bellies are slightly open. Odor is sea fresh and characteristic of the fish. Working together with a common goal, the fishermen, the plant and the dockside handlers, and the restaurateurs, each link in that chain is what it takes to bring about that final success in the marketplace. Proper handling techniques, properly monitored chilling procedures, and effective sanitation procedures help ensure high-quality, premium salmon. Pride and profits, a job well done. Now let's consider minimum size limits and look at ways to minimize the mortality of the undersized fish you release. Like most commercial fisheries, the salmon troll operates under minimum size limits. Although the minimum size may vary from state to state, the size limits are generally designed to reduce the commercial harvest of 2-year-old fish. Chinook salmon spend anywhere from between 1 and 5 years in the ocean before they mature and return to the fresh water to spawn. The growth rate of salmon is such that 2-year-old fish do not reach a legal size until late in the season. Because salmon grow so quickly, minimum size limits can increase overall production by extending the time salmon spend in the ocean. Of course, the benefits of minimum size limits can't be realized if the fish that are released don't survive. Commercial fishermen, in the course of fishing operations, may contact large numbers of undersized fish. Fishermen as a group are keenly aware of the importance of handling sublegal fish in a way that will give the fish the greatest chance of surviving. They know that the undersized fish they release with care today will be available later in the season or next year, ready to land. Whether they eventually end up in the markets or returning to their native streams to spawn, they are literally tomorrow's fish. Commercial fishermen have been in the forefront of developing methods to reduce the hooking mortality rate of the fish they hook and release. During the early 1980s, commercial fishermen promoted the use of barbless hooks, now required to help release sublegal fish with a minimum of handling. Of course, all boats are a little different, and certain procedures that work in one configuration are not feasible in others. For instance, it's beneficial to release the fish while it's still in the water. If this isn't practical, remove the hook quickly so that the fish is out of the water for the least amount of time to reduce stress. With tension on the leader, slide the gaff down to the fish, handle down. Then engage the hook and sling the handle up. This cleanly releases the hook, allowing the salmon to fall free. As experienced fishermen, you can tell at a glance that some fish are clearly too small, but marginal fish may have to be measured on board. Here, minimizing the trauma is key. As carefully as possible, hoist the fish on board with the leader and lay them in a measuring trough for a quick assessment. Keeping the trough wet further protects their skin. Restrain the salmon gently and compare the tail with the pre-cut notch. Undersized fish can be successfully returned again by using the leader to lift them over the side and remove the hook as previously shown. Removing the hook by hand on board means additional handling, and the fall to the water is another opportunity for trauma. When everybody on board your vessel works professionally and follows all of the guidelines, you have a better chance of delivering quality fish to the buyer. And that success means an economic benefit for you.